The Mayor of Leicester, Sir Peter Soulsby. Packed show for everyone today. Sir Peter, thanks for being with us. I wonder if we can just get straight to the meat of the discussion. How comfortable are you with Leicester entering lockdown on the basis of the information provided to you by central government and indeed being provided to you by local hospital trusts?
Well, I think we're the first city for this to happen, but I suspect we won't be the last. It's clear from figures in other cities that there are going to be issues there as well. Certainly being the first is not a comfortable position to be in, but it is one that now the government has announced some very wide-ranging measures for our city that we're determined to make sure they work, make sure we get through this as quickly as we can and get out the other end.
The reason I asked, Sir Peter, is yesterday, indeed at the weekend, it did appear that you were suggesting that the rationale, the data set being provided for bringing Leicester into lockdown once again wasn't sufficient. Have you changed your mind on that?
It's been incredibly difficult getting data out of the government. It's now, 11 days since the Secretary of State first announced that he believed that there was an outbreak here in Leicester. And we've spent a lot of time over those 11 days trying to get the data, trying to understand what it is they believe is happening in our city, and also trying to get them to commit to do the testing here in Leicester, because although they did send a testing unit in here, it announced when it arrived that it was only staying for the day and then was going somewhere else. And, you know, that level of commitment is something that's been a struggle for us. And I'm glad now, at last, we've got a clear way forward and a clear commitment to support the city.
Have you been given any indication of how this might be enforced, particularly, you know, as we head to a weekend in which many people will be heading to pubs, to restaurants and so on, to stop people from the affected area taking anything but essential journeys?
It's obviously going to be quite a challenge enforcing it, and clearly, you know, we were talking with the Chief Constable yesterday about the role that he and his officers will have to play in this, because obviously the council doesn't have the resources to do it. And
well, can you be specific? Sorry to interrupt, Sir Peter. Can you be specific? Yeah, what is this? What is the specific role that the police will play in enforcing this? Are we going to see roadblocks on the roads, main roads out?
No, I mean clearly that is wholly impractical. What we have been doing is working with the county council to actually identify for the government what is an appropriate boundary for this lockdown, because obviously the city council's administrative boundary is very tightly drawn, well within the whole built-up area that people know of as Leicester. And as yet, the government hasn't actually announced what it accepts to be the boundary of this lockdown. So actually policing it is well, going to be something of a challenge until we know actually what the area is to be policed.
Sorry, can I just get you to repeat that? You do not yet know what the limits are of this lockdown area. The suggestion in some of the copy kicking around this morning is that it's 3 miles to the north of the city centre, 3 miles to the south of the city centre.
Yeah, but obviously that you know, is obviously a very imprecise description of it. It may be that that's how they ultimately do describe it, but whether it's a blue line on a map or a radius from the clock tower right at the heart of the city, I think we all need to know, and as yet we don't.
Local MP Claudia Webb really fears for the future of business in Leicester, given that everyone was gearing up once again to try and get back, if not to normalcy, then to closer to it than we've been for quite a long time. Do you share those concerns?
Yes, of course I do. And you know, just when the retailers, the restaurants, the bars were beginning to stock up to get ready to reopen, they're finding that actually they have to face at least 2 more weeks with the close notice on the door. And one thing that I've been pressing on the government, and they have promised to provide it, is that we do need to be able to ensure that they have the financial support during this extra period of lockdown. That means that at the end of it, our economy is able to bounce back.
Sir Peter Soulsby, good to see you this morning. Thanks for being with us.